I fired James this week. He he had to go off to do his own last minute thing, so it's going to be just me, but not just me because I have Joe from Joe's Computer Museum here to talk about the the Blue Scuzzy 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah.
But so we're going to just go ahead and start the show. Good morning, everyone in the chat. It's good to see everyone this morning. So let's get this show on the road. We're going to go ahead and we'll do our normal start with eBay finds. And let us. These are all new to Joe. He hasn't seen what I'm going to be showing. All right. So what first we've got here is a very nice the vintage Apple portable Macintosh bag. Don't ask me why they also put 2C and 1 Lisa in the title.
Rare Steve Jobs.
Rare Steve Jobs look. Yes, exactly. Well, at least there's no polka dot background on this particular auction. All right, so I'm sure everyone's probably familiar with these bags, but if you've never seen one in person, they were extremely sturdy because they had to support the weight of a Macintosh portable, which was definitely more of a luggable computer than a portable computer. So they're kind of this. What's that?
I said
movable, yes.
Movable.
Yeah.
with a hydraulic lift and an intricate cabling system. Yeah, movable.
Yeah, you'd almost be better off just carrying a Mac Plus and a car battery around, really. I mean, it's a 6-1 half a dozen. So this is $60. Now, these have a ton of space inside. They've got some nice pockets with Velcro to hold stuff in. If you're just looking for a kind of nice-looking bag to carry stuff around in, this is a good bag for that. I do notice that they don't show the feet in any of these pictures.
Is that a common problem?
Why? Yeah, it's like I've got about 4 of these, and every single one of them is like missing a foot. And yeah, so I don't know why, but still, $60. It's a it's a bids. It's got 4 days, 7 hours to go. This ends Thursday. They're nice. They're nice. I have to say they're very pretty looking. Kind of black. They've got these kind of the snow white ridges in there, and a nice big color Apple logo.
That's nice.
All right, next up.
I was going to say the final
Sure.
question on that: does it have the portable in it?
No, because if it did, the shipping would be way more than $24.
Starting bid $600.
Right, exactly.
Moving on.
Yeah. They throw a couple of zeros on that. All right, yes. Next up we have, now I wish they showed the cover of this. It says 1984 Macintosh Handbook, 300 pages. And it's a book that goes over the 128K Mac hardware and technical info on the Apple Lisa. I tried to find a PDF of this. So like they show a couple of inside pages. One says 22 inside Macintosh. One shows a picture of the original Lisa, and it says Mac's mom. It's got chapter headings, dialogue and alerts, more windows, cut, copy, paste, learning to program, programming languages, Mac Basic. Yeah. And so I'm almost tempted to get this because it's a buy it now of $46.
That's not bad
just to see what this is, right?
And has that been? Were you able to find it preserved anywhere?
No. Well, again, I if you do a search on Macintosh Handbook, all you get is the book that came with the original Mac. Exactly.
I mean, that's for $46. If that has not been preserved, that's a thing that needs to happen.
Yeah. So if I say so, this one is
calling Mac 84,
or Michael Mulhern from Australia.
Yeah.
He has definitely got a really nice rig for this. If this is still up in a few days, I may have to bite the bullet myself to make sure this gets out there somewhere. All right. Next up, we have an Apple Macintosh PowerBook 1400C with the original manual and box.
It's got all the bits.
It's got all the bits. Now, the one thing I don't see for sure, this particular laptop is the one that you could replace the gray part of the cover with a clear shell, isn't it? I believe.
That's a
So you could
good
actually, and it came
question.
with,
I'm not
you could get
100%
prints to
sure
put
on that.
underneath. Yeah, if I didn't have mine stashed away, I would snag it. But I'm pretty sure this is that one where there was a separate shell for it. But yeah, this one has the box. It's got the floppy drive bay. It's got a
Cool.
couple of power bricks, which is kind of odd. Let's see, a Macintosh publisher user's manual.
It has a global village manual, which makes me wonder if there's like a modem floating around in that. That
Oh
box.
yeah, maybe that. I'm trying to see. Yeah, that's a modem. That is not
Oh
another
yeah,
power
yeah.
brick. That is the
You're
modem.
right.
Yeah, sure thing. They show nice pictures of it starting up, which is fantastic.
Screen looks in good condition.
Yeah, now if I remember correctly, this was a 603 processor in this one,
I
so it would probably
think
be
you're
pretty
right. Yeah.
zippy.
Yep.
It would be a good one, and $349.99. Buy it now. I think that's very reasonable for the fact that it comes with the original box.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
So
got external SCSI, so you can use a blue SCSI with it.
spoilers, spoilers. No, okay. So I do have a bonus auction this week for a computer that's
Ooh,
really only about 10 years old. However,
a 10-year-old auction. Wait, what?
I the computer is only 10 years old,
Oh, okay.
which for this podcast would seem to be fairly new. But all right, so it is one that was expensive when it came out. It's one of those pretty design, but a lot of people didn't like it, and that is the
The
Trash Can Mac
trash
Pro.
can.
But
Yeah.
the thing is, I was
400? Wow.
yeah, they've the prices
And
have just completely. You can get
with
one
all
of
the
these for
M1, M2 stuff is probably what it is. They're just
yeah,
flooding the
yeah,
market because people are
right.
switching. And
Yeah,
here's the
or if
thing
they're
is,
looking for a small ones, the minis are of that era are still almost more expensive now than
yeah.
getting one of these.
And those things are great because you can get, I believe you can get a 12-core Xeon and drop it
Hmm.
in there. And it's just, oh yeah, double the performance. Great, awesome. And they're still, despite how weird they look,
Yeah.
I love those when they came out, by the way. They were the
Oh
coolest
yeah,
looking thing. But
absolutely.
despite that, their performance is still really good, even as a
Yeah,
really high-end desktop. I
that's
mean,
what I'm using for the podcast. Yeah.
they just crank, man, you know?
Hmm. Yeah. After my 2011 iMac started have issues actually streaming,
Hmm.
I was going to go ahead and get a mini, and then I saw how cheap these had gotten. Yeah, 399. This particular auction has multiple available, 6 available, 19 sold, $399, and this has got the 6
Goes
core,
to
32 gig of RAM.
ebay.com real quick.
Wait, it sold now. It only says there's 5
available.
available. What? So, yeah, so that is it for eBay auctions.
Steve says in the chat, must not buy.
You know you want to, Steve. You know
Yes.
you want to. Yeah, yeah, good price.
Cool.
Garth wants to know if there's the 3-year warranty included.
You're going to need it for the GPU.
Oh, yeah. So, all right. So let us get over to the filthy business of why Joe is here. Joe.
I'm here because I'm awesome. That's why.
That's right. That's
Oh,
right.
wait, hold on. Hi, everybody. How you doing?
Okay. So all right. So I was on Dave's vintage Apple Tech stream last week, and you mentioned that you were
Who
going to be
isn't on
working.
Dave's stream? Only the people who aren't cool are the ones who aren't on Dave's stream. Which last week was actually me. I take that back. Anyway, continue.
Yes. Well, so you mentioned that there's the Blue SCSI 2 coming out, and
Yes.
I'm like, ooh,
Yes.
well, so I want to know what are the first of all the Blue SCSI, if you're not familiar with it, if you could give a brief description
Yeah.
of that, and then what the 2 brings to the table.
Absolutely. So those who are not familiar with the Blue SCSI, people in our community probably are, but we'll go ahead and start from the beginning. Basically, the Blue SCSI is a fork of an old Arduino-based project to use an Arduino to create a SCSI emulator, so you could connect flash media to the Arduino, stick it onto your Mac or whatever, it's focused on the Mac, but it'll work on anything. And replace your old spinning, as some people would say, spinning rust, your spinner drives, your mechanical drives, with flash-based media, because the mechanical drives fall over and die, and getting replacements for those is stupid. So, even though the cards, the SD cards you might use in the Blue Scuzzies can wear out faster, they cost $2. You just go boop, boop, pop a new one in, copy your image over, and you keep rolling. So that project was started by Eric Helgeson about 3 years ago. And he just dug into the weeds, took that over, forked it off, and created this solution, which, I've got one of them soldered up right here. Well, partially soldered, created this solution here that uses the Blue Pill STM Arduino-y style chip to do the magic. And that was cool. And the big thing about that is it was a big market disruptor, because a lot of the solutions out there were $80 to $100 a piece, where in kit form, this is $25. $25.
Yes.
Right? And it just solves lots of different problems. It's also completely open source. If you want to, you can get it for even less than $25 if you know how to go online and order your own PCBs and all the bits and parts. So crazy, crazy disruptor. Well, the thing about the Blue Pill is that it's slow, right? It is a great product. It is super awesome, but like many of those entry-level Arduino chips, the STM chip on this just is not that fast. It's an older technology. It's almost 1980s technology that's just been painted like lipstick on a pig, so to speak, to make it modern with USB interfaces and all that stuff. Well, as we know, Raspberry Pi, the Raspberry Pi organization, came out with this brand new chip 2 or 3 years ago called the RP2040, or also that they integrate on these little chips called the Raspberry Pi Pico. Eric Helgeson saw that as an opportunity to transition the Blue Scuzzy into a product that was a lot faster. So he started digging into that, and he's like, well, here's the elephant in the room. The code base of the version 2 is based on Zulu Scuzzy, which is Blue Scuzzy's largest competitor. But at being both open source, they can use that as a base. So they took the Zulu Scuzzy base, backported a lot of the Blue Scuzzy's really cool features, lots of bug fixes, tweaks, additions, better logs, and a whole bunch of other stuff, and integrated that into the version 2, which we have right here. Nice. And so instead of using the Blue Pill as its controller, it uses the Raspberry Pi Pico, which uses the RP2040. Now, the upside is the performance improvement. So here, I have one completed. So this guy, the original, can move data at a maximum of 1.4 megabytes per second, or we call it in kilobytes. So we'll say 1400K per second is about the max that this thing can push on its absolute best day. This one, 10,000. It can basically, if you connect this to a fast SCSI bus and the computer it's connected to can actually move data that fast, it will push it. It will go. It is insanely fast. Absolutely super awesome fast. There are lots of other really cool things about the version 2 compared to, exactly. I was going to, just about to get to that, Steve, compared to the competition, or even compared to the V1. So the entire Blue Scuzzy project has been designed from the ground up to be super, super easy to configure and to use. As we know from the early days with the Scuzzy 2 SD, and then some of its antecessors, the people that came after it, configuring them as a pain in the butt. You've got a special tool, and it formats the card directly, and all of that. Other stuff.
Right.
This. You get a program online called Disk Jockey, and you click a couple buttons and you have a file, and then you put the file on the SD card and shove it in the slot and plug it into your Mac, and you're done. So
one of the things that I really like is another huge advantage is you can actually set up those disk images on an emulator.
Yes.
Cheap Shaver, Basilisk 2,
well. Or
Mini VMAC.
VMAC or anything.
Yeah, like exactly. That. Get it all set up exactly the way you want.
Plug it in.
Yeah, copy and paste, exactly. Which also means that you have a backup of it in case those SD cards ever.
Exactly.
Now, as opposed to the old SCSI to SD, which if you had like an older computer that had a USB, you could get stuff on and off that card. But yeah, it was formatted as a hard drive, so there's
Yep.
there's no.
This is raw,
It was so
basically.
hard to get stuff on there. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Um,
absolutely. So
and then of course
to do
also
that
the this
transfer, there's
yeah
this huge process you'd have to use to like try to use Apple Talk through a bridge machine or all these other different
all
weird
the
processes
hassles, right?
to get that. And this solves the problem. It's right there on an SD card, and you're ready to go. You can load it in mini VMAC and do file transfers. If you're on Windows, oh no, spoiler alert, I'm a big Windows guy only because I've been using it forever. All my computers to start with were Windows computers, even though I've always loved my Apples, as you can see. My Apple II's back here and my Mac here. Anyway, if it wasn't obvious, but on Windows you can use Cider Press, which was originally designed to talk to Apple II disk images, but it will talk to Mac disk images. So basically, you just take your card out of here, stick it in your Windows computer, double click on it, and Cider Press opens it, and you can copy files in and out.
Oh, fantastic! Great.
But it doesn't stop there. So version 2, it's partially available in version 1, but the features are going to be better in version 2 moving forward. Here is a cool thing. Version 2 has what's called the Blue SCSI Toolbox, which is a series. It's an API, a programming interface, to talk directly to the Pico, bypassing the SCSI bus, kind of. With a little program on your Mac that allows you to grab files directly off the root of the SD card and shove them into the Mac operating system. So if you don't have those tools, all you do is you run the little program on your Mac, and it'll show you a list of files that aren't on the hard drive images. That's just it's just on the SD card. And you can drop them right onto the Mac. So basically, you take your card out, stick it in there, download something off the Macintosh Garden, put it in the special shared folder in the SD card, pop it back in, right there, download, and it just drops it onto the Mac, and you're ready to go.
Oh, that's crazy!
It's super cool.
Yeah, heck yeah.
And then one of the really coolest things is, what a lot of people probably don't know is that Blue SCSI supports CD images, not just hard drive images. So if you have the up-to-date firmware on the version 1, but even better version 2, even better cool things on version 2, you can mount CD images, ISOs, toast files. It doesn't care as long as it's formatted correctly, it'll mount it. But version 2 comes with the CD changer application. So if there's a special folder you put on your SD card, and you put all your CD images in there with the SCSI ID of free. And you run this application, and you can select which image you want to switch to next. And then if you take your CD, your mounted CD, and drop it to the trash, it will auto mount the next one you picked. Say you're playing a game that's got multiple CDs. You go, boop, boop, and it just switches it. CD switching! It's the coolest thing ever. It is super awesome. All of this is very, very easy to use. I did want to touch on one other thing regarding some of the pain points from the version 1 that have been resolved with version 2, and that is the whole firmware upgrade process. If you were building a Blue SCSI yourself from a kit using your own Blue Pill, programming the Blue SCSI is to get first run is just a pain in the patoot. It's not like the hardest thing, but it's not easy. You've got to have one of these special ST-Link programmer devices. I'm staring at mine, but I don't want to unplug it because it might mess up my USB stuff. And you have to have the right set of software to get the bootloader onto the Blue Pill, which then allows you to USB update it using a different program to get the actual Blue SCSI firmware on there. It's kind of a process. And like if your version of Windows has a different set of updates, or your version of Mac OS is a different Mac OS, or this and that, the other, it might see the device. It might not see the device. Does it see the ST-Link? Do you need what's called the Maple driver? Do you need the Accio driver? Do you need this and that and the other? And then poopy. This is insanely easy to update the firmware. You see that little button right there, that little white button? What you do is you hold that down and plug in the USB, then let go of the button. And then your computer will mount mount the Pico's ROM space as an SD or as a USB flash drive. It just mounts it as a hard drive. Okay. You drag the firmware to it and let go. It'll go boom, boom, update it, and you're done.
Beautiful, beautiful.
even completely blank. And you're done. It is so easy to update. It gets rid of all of that command line stuff that Eric had to spend hours programming. Not that we devalue all his awesome work, but now we don't have to do that. It's just whoop and it goes. It is so incredibly easy to use. No special tools or utilities or programming knowledge or anything like that. Just copy, paste, and done. It is insanely cool.
So I know that you are going to be. I think you mentioned that you just got a lot of the components in to be able to start getting these and selling them. So let's talk a little bit about
$1 million. Go to jcm-1.com and put it in the checkout. Thanks.
That's right. So you can go to like Joe just said, you can go to jcm1.com to order directly from Joe. I think you also mentioned that you can also go to bluescuzzy.com where multiple people are making them. And I have to say, do you have an idea cost wise what these are going to be when you start selling them?
Absolutely. So we are still offering these as a kit. The kit is slightly more expensive because we changed the process for manufacturing them, because in the originals is all through-hole components. So you were able to completely assemble it yourself. But this guy has a lot of surface mount components.
Oh, yeah.
So instead of making everybody have to have this like a crazy microscope to do that, we pre-assemble all of these tiny surface mounts so you don't have to. So the kit, instead of being $25, is $30. The fully
but that's fantastic if all the
$50.
SMC stuff's already in place.
They're already on there. All you have to do is you solder on the power jack, the SCSI jack, the Pico, and the headers for the pins, just the through-hole stuff, and you're done.
That is great.
These are actually easier to make than version 1. They're much simpler to do because you don't have to have the SD card slot you have to put on there. Super, super simple. So the kits are going to be 30. The fully assembled will be 50. And then some of us have other options. Some of us will sell it with an SD card or external LEDs or stuff. Some of us just sell just the unit by itself. It depends on the proclivities of the distributor. And those will be available shortly. So we had an initial run that we pushed out before the Lunar New Year that affects Chinese production every year. And we got some of those out to our initial people. There are about 70 or 80 of those that we were all able to sell a couple weeks ago through all the distributors. Now that Lunar New Year is over, I was able to place my order for lots and lots and lots of them yesterday. So hopefully within a week or two, depending on shipping and all of that stuff, I should have those back in stock and be ready to roll in. A lot of the other producers as well. I mean, I'm looking at the Discord right here where we talk about it, and everybody's like, "Yep, I got my order in," or "Yep, they're having a little issue because I clicked the wrong check mark accidentally," or whatever. But we're talking about it right now, so we should have those ready for full scale distribution in a week or two. And keep this in mind. This is the big thing to keep in mind. V1 is not going anywhere. We're going to keep them around. Features are going to be backported to it where possible. And again, these are so inexpensive. We're going to be probably reducing our own stock of these. But here's the thing. Brand new, 10 megabytes per second, super fast, capable of new features. I will drop one hint. This is the Pi Pico. You could put a Pi Pico W on there that's got wireless on it. It'll work.
Wow.
There's nothing programmed to use the wireless.
Yet.
And same price. All those new features, all that excellent performance, exact same price, easier to build. In 2 weeks, go out and get them from jcm-1.com. No, from bluescuzzy.com. Any of the providers. We're worldwide. We've got Bruce in Australia. We've got a couple different people up in Canada, several people in the US. We got JM over in Europe. We're bad. We're nationwide. We're ready to go. So.
There you go. Yes, it's a worldwide cabal of SCSI goodness. So, All right. Well, thank you so much, Joe. I'm looking forward to ordering a few myself. So great, great, great. All right. So if you want to hang on, I was just gonna do the news real quick here,
Let's do the
and
news.
we
Let's do
are
it.
gonna do. So what we're going to talk about on the news is the upcoming Vintage Computer Festival Southeast. Now I say upcoming. It's coming like later this year, but
Cool.
it is, yeah, because it happens in July, and unfortunately, it happens the same weekend as the tail end of Kansas Fest.
Oh,
I'm actually going to try to go to both
so
this
yeah,
year.
so you drive from Missouri to Atlanta. Get in a car, go.
Well, for me, it's driving from Florida to. I'll be driving from Florida to Kansas City,
You're
and then
driving
Kansas City.
past HCS to Kansas City, then back on your way home. I got it. That makes
Pretty much, yeah, yeah. Right, because yeah, it's but all right, so this is the cool thing about this Vintage Computer Festival is it's been going on for a while. This will be the ninth one. A few years ago, they started doing a arcade pinball expo called the Southern Pride Game Room Expo. Well, they teamed up a few years ago, so now you're getting to go to both vintage computers and vintage arcade games same
still my
weekend,
heart.
same location, right? So
That's
yeah, we have 173 days. So start planning now. They've got a 3-day adult weekend pass is $85, so you can do daily for 40 or 50 or 25 depending on the day. It's a lot of fun. I'm hoping to maybe take my marathon setup again. A couple of years ago, I took a bunch of beige boxes, which I will not be moving ever again because they can't support their own weight anymore. But I'm probably going to take a bunch of I'm gonna probably take a bunch of IMAX to set up for marathon. So there you go.
cool.
And that is our news.
Awesome sauce.
So so next week we'll have James back. What we're going to talk about, I'm not sure. I'm going to suggest we talk about SimCity 2000 because it came out in 1993. It would be maybe a fun one, but we'll see. We'll see what he says.
One of my favorite games. I look forward to
It's
hearing
so
about
good,
that.
right? Right. All right, so I'm going to show off. Last week, I maybe mentioned that I was going to try to do an Apple II badge for my clear Mac Effects Apple II case, and I did this. I haven't done it in the clear filament yet, but I did do it in black, and it turned out pretty nice. Not
That's
bad.
really good.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing it into the clear. There we go. Voila.
That's really cool. It's the whole raised thing. That's nice. I like
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So you do a lot of 3D printing. Let me ask you this. So I started. I just did them as SVGs in Illustrator, and
Sure.
then import. I tried to import them into. I had 123D on my Mac, and it would not bring in the SVG file. So I finally got online and I used their online Tinkercad
Hmm.
to do it, and it worked fine in Tinkercad. But
Tinkercad
man,
is
I tell you,
really good for just basic stuff. It does a really good job.
yeah, yeah. It rankles me to have to use online applications.
Hmm.
Yeah, I tried to do it in Blender also, and it came in very wonky. A
Hmm.
lot of weird vertices, cruft.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Blender's
what are you
not,
doing?
it's not. I mean, it can do the STL export, but it's not really designed
Yeah, yeah,
specifically
yeah.
for that world. It's
So
you
if,
would
if
think it could do it, but yeah, I've heard of little glitches like that.
so, what do you use? I'm just
Um,
curious.
I use Javier Rivera, and I ask him to design it for me. Um, no, seriously though, when I need to kick something out, I'll use OpenSCAD because I'm more of a nuts and bolts kind of guy, not really
Mm,
creative. The most creative thing I've ever done is this silly little logo up here, and I didn't even design that 3D case. I mean, uh,
oops.
John, or
Sorry. Yeah.
uh, I
Oh
can't
well,
remember his
can't get
name
you
off the
big
top
there.
of this. One of my friends designed it. His last name's Alexander. I don't know. Yeah, this guy. Um, that's the most artistic thing I do. But no, seriously, I use OpenSCAD. It's a procedural programming language.
Oh my.
C
Okay.
style or JavaScript
Wow.
style
All right.
that's used to do that. And so you're like, put a cube here, it's these dimensions, then cut a hole out of the cube, and then so for knocking out really quick functional parts, it's good because you can iterate in tiny little amounts and things like that.
Oh wow.
And then you
Okay.
use your
Yeah.
calipers to to measure and do all that. But usually if I need to design something arty, I'll just throw something together in Tinkercad, or like I said, I call up Javier, since he's also a graphic designer like you are. I'm like, Javier, fix it. Speaking of that, I've been iterating through cases for the 25,
Okay.
the external Blue SCSI. The original case was something like this.
Uh-huh.
That was designed by Androta, who's one of the people who is one of the core Blue SCSI members. But I worked with Javier. I'm like, can we make this better? And he made it less flimsy with better pushable buttons and all of that stuff. I'm like, great, thanks, buddy.
There you go. Yeah, how's an awesome guy. Yeah, he's great. Javier is awesome.
Why reinvent the wheel?
Well, Joe, thank you again for keeping me company today.
Sure.
It was awesome having you on, and I'm looking forward to some Blue SCSI 2 goodness in my future.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that is pretty much it for the show today. James should be back next week, and like I said, we'll see what we talk about. But I'm shooting for a little bit of because it gives me an excuse to play some more SimCity 2000. So
play more games.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, people.